All right, everybody, welcome back to Talking Mons, our Digimon Adventure 2020 recap podcast. My name is JD, and I am joined by Jeanette and Gary.
Hello.
Hi.
And we are here to talk about episodes 65 and 66 of the Digimon Adventure. I was under the impression that 66 was the last episode because that's everything I've ever read, but apparently there is one more coming this week after we record this. So next week will be the finale of this show, where we'll talk about the last episode and then probably give our general impressions of the series. But before we get there, we are going to talk about episodes 65 and 66, The Great Catastrophe, Negamon, and The Last Miracle, The Last Power. So we'll go ahead and get into episode 65. So the last episode, white voids have started to appear all over the digital world because it is literally falling apart at the seams. Because the secret bad guy that has been orchestrating all of the chaos and is the great catastrophe. He is a weird little eyeball blob named Negamon, who we learn that he feeds off the negativity that people put into the network. Sure, why not? But basically, the children are sucked up into the void by his black tentacles that are escaping the voids, and the partners are trying to find a way to get up into the void so that they can help their human friends. It is mostly just them being shot out of a cannon multiple times until it works.
Mm-hmm.
But once they get up there, we finally get the big mega fight that we've always wanted. And they finally defeat Argomon, the weird jellyfish virus dude that we've been following this whole series. Now that he's like in his big mega human form, he finally bites it, but not before Negamon basically starts leeching his way into the human world. So this episode and the next one run pretty right into each other, but we'll kind of stop at the halfway point here. So what did you guys think about this one?
You actually kept up with the plot more than I did. I really, really tried. I did not have any distractions. I did not have anything. I was like, this is a big finale. Gonna sit down, gonna watch it. I have no idea. I don't know what was going plot-wise. There were pretty explosions. There were pretty Digimon. There's a lot of megas. I mean, I just had no idea what was going on. But I enjoyed it. I guess B-.
What about you, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like it's a setup for the next episode. You know how, like, in Dragon Ball, you have this, like, drag-on of just people charging up?
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
I mean, it just kind of feels like that. I mean, granted, the fights are great, but this doesn't really... I feel like if they could condense it a little, and it would just make that 66 episode mark instead of the 67 episode mark.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, in some ways, it felt like both these episodes felt rushed, and at the same time, they felt a little too drawn out.
Yes.
To me, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I kind of agree that this is set up. This is part one of a 3-part finale, essentially. Especially what comes right after this. It definitely just feels like it runs right into the next one thematically. Jeanette, I don't blame you for not following this. I kind of don't follow it much myself, because I don't think I like that Negamon is the end bad guy. Only because so far, it doesn't have any personality. It is literally just this Cthulhu monster that is here to consume all things, to end things. So there will be no more death and rebirth in the Digimon world,
and the human world,
and the human realm. That it is a void, a black hole that will consume all, because that is just what it does. It doesn't have a reason for it. It just does that. It has always done that. It was the cause of the Great Holy War, apparently, before they sealed it away. Now it is broken back out. But that's what I've always liked about Digimon, compared the original Digimon compared to this one, is that whether the villains had good motivation or not, whether if it was just like, bleh, I'm evil, they at least had some personality to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is what has been lacking in this version.
Yes.
Is that the big overarching evil? And I mean, most of the bad, like anything bad's been going on, like the over evil is basically faceless. It's like the Argomon have been a persistent nuisance, but they're just like these eyeball jellyfish. And then even when they combine into like one that can actually talk, he's just expositing why we should fear the big bad guy that he works for, who is just like this chaos demon. But Negamon doesn't have a personality. He's just a void. And it's like, I don't know. I just can't really get invested in like his whole deal when it's like he can't even speak for himself about why he does it.
Yeah.
I have.
See, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I have similar view, but it's not the personality that the lack of personality that bugs me. It's the lack of presence throughout the series. Like I kind of get that they are doing this kind of force of nature thing, but it just doesn't feel threatening until this last few episodes. Like if there's like constant foreshadowing or some sort of allusion to it, then it would have some build up. Right now, it just feels like a random thing that popped out. Okay, you know how, in video games, you go through an entire video game, you beat the big boss, and then you're done, and then a DLC drops, and it's not exactly connected to the big bad. Like, that feels like a extra DLC rather than an actual relevant to a story.
I think this is more... Sorry, go ahead, Jeanette.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect analogy, in my opinion. I have other thoughts too, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's just like we've been hearing about this great catastrophe, but they're only speaking about it in a very vague sense because they don't know if it's an event or if it's a thing or what it is. But then we find out it's this weird, shadowy eyeball monster that lives in a void, and he's just been hanging out this entire time and just sending these weird jellyfish out to do his bidding, I guess. It's just like, I don't buy it. It's weird.
Like, go ahead, Jeanette.
Yeah, and I think I would have rather they continued to build on Devimon and had him more be the reoccurring villain of the series and developed him, or maybe have him and one other bad guy instead of what they ended up doing, which every stage has like a new bad guy, but it's more. I'm gonna cough.
Yeah. We'll talk about Devimon more when we get to the next episode, but I agree. It's just like Negamon is such an out of nowhere bad guy that he shows up in the last 3 episodes and we're supposed to like care like he's been here the whole time.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing with the Digimon they help too. There's not really reoccurring Digimon for the most part, or what Digimon there are don't have much personality or aren't really developed. They're just like there.
Yeah.
Like
sorry, go ahead, Gary.
Going back to the force of nature thing, is that if what was the big bad before this? I forgot the name. The
Millennia something.
Yeah,
Millenniummon.
If right after Millenniummon was defeated, we start seeing the tentacles sprouting down from the sky, and it just keeps like more and more slowly builds up as the episodes go on, then I actually would have liked this villain, Negamon. But it's just left field again.
And honestly, now in this context, I get the Millenniummon, I think, was like an extension of Negamon's power or whatever. But to me, it almost feels like that whole build up to fighting Millenniummon really didn't mean much because, like, oh, well, he wasn't the Great Catastrophe. So we fought this giant monster that like really didn't have anything to do with anything. It's actually this other big monster we need to kill to stop the world from ending.
Millenniummon had build-up episodes and episode of those cultist alien gray Digimon, like trying to revive them.
And they kept showing you like him in his crystal form. So it's like, okay, he is a persistent threat. We know that he is coming. Negamon literally shows up at the last second and is like, fear me. And I'm like, why though? Why should I?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very strange.
And I think with Negamon, I just kind of have end of the world villain fatigue at this point. It's like, oh, this is the real one after 3 other Digimon.
Yeah.
This is the one that's going to end everything. And I know they're trying to escalate everything, but it doesn't really escalate.
And we can't really do the whole real-world escalation thing either, because from the very beginning, we've been dealing with threats that impact the real world.
Yeah, like the digital world's been affecting the real world, not so directly, but like, yeah, it's I don't know.
It's a mess. But we can continue talking about the episodes in detail. It's just a mess.
I mean, really, the big thing I took away from this is that everyone finally turned into their mega at the same time and like started whooping ass.
Oh, that was cool. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool. Just everything around it is like, okay, cool, I guess.
Mm.
Well, is there anything else you guys want to say about this before we move on?
I mean, I just want to think, I did get really pumped and really excited when everyone was turning into their megas. I was like, yeah. That's all I got.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Jeremy Snow here, owner and editor-in-chief of The Geekly Grind. I'm interrupting your awesome, regularly scheduled programming to ensure that you know about our Geekly Grind podcast network, of which this show is a treasured member of. If you haven't had a chance to check out our site, you can do so at www.thegeeklygrind.com, and while you're there, check out the other members of our steadily growing podcast family, including the anime-centric Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, discovering new heroes and comic book keepers with Chris and Lance, exploring the vast universe of geekdom with Geeksploration, or of course appreciating animation's finer details with the Ink and Paint Club. Escape your weekly grind at The Geekly Grind.
All right, well, I think that'll bring us to episode 66. So this kind of picks up from the last episode. So the Negamon is, leeching his way into the real world, starting to fuck with shit. Negamon, they're fighting Negamon. He apparently evolved something called Kuzurumon or something. I don't know. But it seems like, the War Greymon and Metal Garurumon, okay, they fight it off. It's dead. Nope, it just evolves one more time and then uses weird tentacle things. And basically takes everybody but Matt and Ty into some weird limbo realm. Basically, I think it's basically what Izzy or someone describes it as, like, basically they're in a soul realm. Like, they took their bodies, but like now their souls are just floating around, and they're just like in this weird see-through ethereal state hovering above Tokyo.
They're in the shadow realm.
They're in the shadow realm. That's Yugi sent them to the shadow realm. But it's through the miracle of the wishes of children, and I'm not being facetious here. Literally children whipping out phones, and it is the ending to our war game where everyone is sending messages saying, we believe in you. You got this.
You got this, bro.
Which gives them the power to come back
to life.
To give War Greymon and Garurumon the power, or no. They give wait, hold on. I'm trying to remember
Remember, only 4 of them matter.
Yeah.
2 of them were like hovering above the real world, and they get like half the hopes and dreams, and then the other 2 is hovering above the digital world, and they get the other half of hopes and dreams from the digital world.
Yeah.
And then transfer them through the 2 angel mons.
And the other 4 were just not important.
They're there for moral support.
Yeah.
But basically what happens is that the hopes and dreams of all the people of the world come together. Devimon and Skull Knightmon show up again to help Seraphimon and Ophanimon in like weird spirit form. Because I don't know, they're really trying to shoehorn into this thing where like Angemon and Devimon are 2 halves of the same coin, but they're also like old friends or some shit. I don't know. It's weird.
See,
go ahead.
Yeah, it's just, I think, and I will touch on this next time we get together, but there's so many plot threads in this show, and none of them are really well explained.
Yeah. But basically, this gives Seraphimon and Ophanimon their power enough to transfer it to War Greymon and Metal Garurumon, who give them the power to turn into Omnimon. So we're seeing Omnimon for the 3rd or 4th time now. And basically it ends with Omnimon going off to kill the Great Catastrophe.
If he doesn't turn into a transformer with all the megas part of him, I'm flipping the table. I'm just saying.
Well, there is. I've heard a theory that there is another Omnimon. I think it's called Omnimon Alter S, and basically he's a different Omnimon, but instead of having War Greymon and Metal Garurumon, he has Blitz Greymon and Crest Garurumon. So the red Greymon and the gold Garurumon that we saw earlier in the show. So I am wondering if that's gonna become a thing, or if he like slides into that to be a different Omnimon. I don't know, but I don't know.
I mean, they might if they want to sell the merch.
Yeah, man, you gotta sell more of those cards, right? All these cards I keep buying, they gotta mean something.
See, I just need that payoff of them all becoming one Moose Transformer. And if not, the whole thing will have been a waste. I'm sorry.
So you want the ending of Digimon Frontier where all of them become one giant god thing.
Oh yeah.
Look up Susanumon. He's weird. But yeah, so like this feels like part 2 of this ongoing rush to beat Negamon or the Great Catastrophe or whatever the hell he's calling himself. It's literally a cliffhanger ending. I'm like, okay, he's gonna go off to fight the battle for everybody. Tune in next week to see how that turns out.
Yeah. I wonder how that's gonna turn out.
It's a bold move, Gun. I hope it works out for him. Yeah, I don't know. This episode's fine. It literally reminds me of the Digimon movie where the fucking dreams and emails of the children of the world give power to Omnimon.
But I that reminded me too. But it's still, unearned feel like is my catchphrase throughout this entire podcast series. It feels unearned. Like, at least with the original series and our war game, people know Digimon exist because they fought them in the real world. They fought them in the real world before, and they are cheering for these Digimon that they've seen. And it makes sense because there was this whole huge arc in the real world. But here, everything that happens in the real world kind of went unnoticed because nobody knows that it was Digimon. They just know that a bunch of glitches. Sure, children might have seen some of it, but it just felt like that since last time we were in the real world, it's been so long that it felt like they're disconnected.
Yeah, for the real world people, there's no correlation that any of the things that's happening in their world are Digimon related. Literally, the first time you're seeing Digimon is either the black tentacles falling from the sky or the weird windows into the mega fight where they're just like flashing images of all the mega forms on the sky. What I find absolutely hilarious about this is the level-headedness of all the broadcasters. It's like, we don't know what's going on. Don't touch it. Avoid the tentacles. Not just like panicking in the streets. Everyone's just kind of standing around looking at it. And I don't know if that's just like, you guys should be more fazed by this, or if that's just how Japan is to catastrophe. I know if it was in America, everybody losing their minds. The news would be telling us we're all gonna die.
And with the original series and even other series, when Digimon stuff happened in the real world, there are more reaction than just staring at the screen. People actually did something, like police actually like organizing like evacuation, military responses.
Dude,
Nothing
I mean, the whole Myotismon arc in the original series, they like literally take over Tokyo and like holding people in like makeshift camps and shit.
That was pumped.
Yeah, and if we look at Tamer, they had like Apache helicopter ready to attack the glob thingy.
Yeah, exactly. They called in the military for that, and I don't know if obviously there's no like physical monster in the real world other than the tentacles, so I don't know if they're gonna call the military yet. But like, come on, man, Japan's got a Godzilla defense strategy. Use it.
Like more reaction. from the
Yeah.
rope would be nice.
At least seem a little surprised by this abnormality.
Yes. They're like,
Um,
I mean, to be fair, they've had ships, they've had a spaceship, they're so used to shit happening by now.
Yeah,
They're like,
so
oh.
a week ago, the International Space Station was going to crash, and I guess like they're kind of like, this shit again.
Yeah.
It's like, of course this happens. Why not? What else could happen today? Oh, but man, yeah, this one just like, like Gary said, it's more set up to the very end. Like everything's gonna come to a head next week, and I assume that will be victorious. It'd be a bold move, just like, nope, the Digidestined fails and everything is reset.
There's babbies in the next episode.
Yeah. I had a stupid theory going to bed the other night.
Oh.
So in the original Digimon series, when they meet Genai for the first time, he's like, "You guys aren't the first people to be here," and I'm like, "How stupid would it be that like Negamon actually succeeds and like somehow ends up rebooting the world, and that basically just wraps it into the first Digimon show? So technically, that would make this a prequel.
That'd be awful yet metal.
It'd be stupid as hell."
Yeah.
This is why I need to sleep more.
But metal. It would definitely be metal.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. Yeah. But yeah. That's all I got. What, you guys got anything else?
I thought for the finale, the fight scenes in this were with Omnimon and War Greymon and such, it was okay. But I thought a lot of the fight scenes were really sloppy in this, and I was surprised because this series has had really good fights. But they didn't seem to save it for the finale.
Well, we said one more episode.
That reminds me of something that bothered me. Okay. I feel like Metal Garurumon does way more in this fight than War Greymon does. Because Metal Garurumon is flying around, firing off missiles every 5 seconds. I think what War Greymon does is he throws a Gaia Force and he like gets him to use shield. I think that's about all he does.
War Greymon's burned out. He needs a break.
I don't care. Metal Garurumon is picking up the slack of this fight. He needs to get in there.
Oh yeah.
But now they're Omnimon, so now they can share equal load, I guess. I don't know. All right, everybody. Well, that does it for this week. Thank you all for listening. Post your theories in the comments of how you think this is all gonna end, because I honestly don't know. This could go in a million directions. Will it be satisfying? I think that's the big question I've got. I have my reasons to doubt, but I will try to remain hopeful. It's one of those shows like I want to like this. Let me like it.
Yes, exactly. Same here.
Yes.
Prove my doubts wrong.
Please let me like you, Digimon Senpai.
Senpai. All right. Everybody, thank you for listening. Stay safe out there. We'll catch you all again for the finale next week.